B side to flex it against your A side pick. So that's a very smart pick by Fnatic there. Catherine is banned, and then they're going to go ahead and pick up the Arden. Arden is one of Justman's best captains right now, so I feel really good about Mousesports draft so far. However, it's Grace though. Grace is just really good into Baron because of the Echo ult. Like, Baron needs to blow someone up, but if they're going to get Echo ulted, Baron's not going to be able to sustain long enough.
Idris available as well.
Yep, and Idris is
Idris, great into Baron, great with Grace. Like, this could look terrifying, and also you can go with a Scarf that we've just seen Fnatic work with a million times.
Yeah, I mean, since they have Vox open, they can still take Vox and they can echo out the Vox too. That's good into Baron as well. But then go ahead with the Idris, which is risky because now the Mousesports can pick like a Koshka or a Cruel to counter the Idris dive and just focus down whoever's diving onto that Baron.
The problem is if you're doing that, Scarf's just going to be building up broken mid stacks and getting a huge ultimate off. So I really, really like the way Fnatic has rounded out their draft because it kind of forces Mousesports to have to split their focus. You can't take down both the Idris and a Scarf in a well-played team fight from Fnatic. You'll have to choose one or the other. And if you choose to go onto the Scarf, Idris is going to be just tearing through your team. If you choose to go after the Idris, Scarf's going to be building up and getting a big ultimate off. I think Skye is probably one of the best picks that they could have gone for here from Mousesports. But despite the Baron, I do still like the Fnatic draft a bit better.
Yep, the Skye is going to come on through. Obviously, we mentioned great at kiting, so when it comes to the Grace and the Idris, Skye can have a lot of impact during those fights, and we'll see how well that's going to go into the Scarf and things. Definitely an interesting draft from both sides. I feel like not quite meta on either side as well. We've got a couple of like interesting ways that this can happen. I feel like a lot of this is going to be down to team fight execution in this game.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty even, I would say, the draft. Grace echoes really strong late game, but Skye also counters Grace really hard and can Suri and move around the Scarf. So I love the draft from Mousesports as well. So I'm going to root for Mousesports and hope they win this one.
Okay, so we're thinking 3-game series. What about you, Bacon?
I think Fnatic, even though it is a very strong draft from Mousesports, I think both teams have a very good draft. But Fnatic just looks like a bit of a cleaner team and a little bit more, better executions coming out of Fnatic. And as long as they execute their draft the way that they want to, they should be able to win every single team fight in the late game. And so I'm going to go Fnatic.
Also, they have Palmatoro on Scarf, which seems to be unbeatable at the minute for some reason. We'll see whether it's going to be good enough coming on into this game. It's Fnatic up against Mousesports. We'll see whether Mouse can live up to their words and take this to a 3-game series. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Let us know who you're supporting, but it's time to pass it over once more to Dowsy and Action Jackson.
Let's see how Fnatic are able to handle this Baron. Has been such a hot pick this season here, AJ. Have to see if Apple can play it to perfection. As for Mouse, they cannot really afford to lose this game.
Yeah, this is a really critical one for them. I think the compositions are pretty interesting here. I'm very happy that the final pick was a Skye. From Mouse, I think we've seen, both today and in the past, that it's one of the few things that does have a really good matchup into the Grace. And yeah, when you're picking your jungler to counterpick their captain, that doesn't feel great, man. But at the same time, I think it is respectable against the other picks and great into that one. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Plus, it's something which diversifies their threats a lot. Baron is a big, scary carry in the lane. And then you're adding Skye, who also does very high amounts of damage. I think that you're really putting Fnatic in a position where it's hard for someone like Palmatoro, who doesn't necessarily fare very well against two spread-out threats, to be effective.
Yeah, we'll have to see if this Scarf in the late game is enough to take down this Baron as well. Bit of engage here. Justman taking a bit of damage. The Goop slows him down. Nettolet with a Retribution speeds forward and slows down I Am the Doom. Palmatoro, Spitfire won't quite connect here. We do see a rotate from Apfel from the lane as well. Fnatic know that the Baron is coming. They've got Techno JJ in hot pursuit, but he can't get into the fight quick enough. This has gone wrong for Fnatic, and Palmatoro will be first blood over to I'm the Doom. Good rotation from Apfel.
Very good rotation, and also somewhat fortunate that I'm the Doom managed to get the Treant kill there. I think had that not happened, maybe the fight goes just long enough for the rotation out of the Idris, Techno JJ, to actually make a difference. as it was, he wasn't able to do anything particularly in that engagement. But overall, Mouse, they're definitely the team who has, I think, the potential to snowball harder in the early game. In the mid game is when you got to watch out for any advantage Fnatic garners for themselves. But in the early game, both this Sky and to a certain extent this Baron, as we've seen a couple of times so far this season, can get pretty out of control. So a fight like that is definitely good news for them. It hasn't tangibly led to very much yet, but it going on to the Sky, I think, is definitely the best target. She's someone who every crystal bit matters on. You don't need to necessarily see the huge difference between 3 crystal bits and a heavy prism and a crystal bit versus just, 4 crystal bits or whatever, for her to see a big improvement. And as such, any gold from a kill matters a lot in the early game for a Sky.
No, it certainly does. We're going to see another fight break out in the jungle, perhaps, as it is going to be actually the Treant secured by Justman. Goes him a bit of healing here. No contract for Justman. Isn't going to be healing with every jungle creep or large creep minions. Bobs, as we call them. I call them. There's going to be this Elder Treant secured by Mouse here, and I'm the Doom going to be keeping the pace that he needs. Moving up to the lane here. TechnoJJ very respectfully dodging away.
Yeah, and I like what you said about keeping the pace there. I would like I'm the Doom to continue doing that. Great Holy Nova from Net Toilette, though. Now, this is a game like the last one where, we got to take into account whose jungle 2v2 is stronger, etc. I think very clearly the Arden and Sky has an advantage, so long as at least they land the majority of one of the forward barrages. As a result, I quite like Net just staying in the lane, relying on Palma to farm quickly and safely and then back away, and acknowledging the fact that ganks with the Vanguard speed up are very threatening in lane. You need Holy Nova up there.
Pretty impressed by Apfel's happy feet so far. Dodging skill shots left, right and center, whether it just be position or jump jets. Definitely helping him stay in this lane, as he doesn't have any sustain other than the health potions he's got in his inventory. It's very unusual to see an Arden not go Iron Guard contract, but I guess Mouse just felt confident that they could sustain this early stage of the game. We do see the Fountain now purchased up for Justman. Apfel getting closer and closer to that first damage item on the Baron. The Sorrow Blade can really hit hard. The same story is on the other side of the fold for TechnoJJ. Once he gets that Sorrow Blade, of course, he'll unlock his divergent paths on the weapon power, and it means that he will have that blink on the Shroud Step, which is so threatening to Apfel in this Baron.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really powerful. It's threatening both to the Baron and also to the Sky somewhat, because it means you're not spending any time in transition when you're trying to dodge forward barrage. You just immediately get to move, and that can actually make it very difficult to stick on top of an Idris with forward barrage in these fights. Also, one thing we didn't mention is how good the Idris is into the Baron full stop. The ultimate actually extremely good at sticking on him through jump jets, which most heroes have a tough time doing because of its ability to stop crowd control effects. This is definitely a composition where both teams actually have one thing that I would describe as a silver bullet against one other thing. I think the Sky is a silver bullet against Grace a lot of the time. I think that Idris is a silver bullet against Baron a lot of the time. But it's definitely a fair fight. The compositions went quite nicely for both teams.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of rock, paper, scissors going on, and three-way ties for sure. Idris very happy to jump over Arden's Gauntlet, but an Arden Gauntlet can ruin a Scarf stay, especially with the Dragon Fight coming out, Dragon's Breath. Very interesting times. I'm actually very interested to see how team fights in the late game work as well. From experience, sometimes you cannot focus a Baron as Idris when there's a Sky on the team as well. Sky can just be such a threat, and sometimes you need to be taking her off out of the picture before you can even get to the Baron. When that's the case, it just allows Apfel so much free damage. So very intrigued to see the win conditions and how this game does progress for the side of Fnatic, and how they are playing the late game fights. Mouse in a great position to put the pressure down right now. Their range advantage coming up huge. Death from above splits the team. They're really wanting to try and get this turret off the map.
Talking about how Fnatic need to play the fights in the late game, I think we need to be seeing Grace with an Echo as a massive priority. You need to be able to keep Palmatoro alive. He's, I think, the the really big threat that people on the side of Mouse need to worry about. Or, you know, maybe in certain fights, it's going to be valuable to try and save Techno when he dives. But I think a lot of the time he is actually agile enough and slippery enough that he won't need the heals compared to Palma.
The Echo could allow for both. The first heal to Techno JJ as he tries to deal with Apfel, taking him out of the picture, and the second one over to Palmatoro as he is threatened perhaps by the opposition of Mouse. Mouse not quite pulling the trigger on that execute there. They definitely were doing a lot of damage to Techno JJ, but he's now healed it all up with the Book of Eulogies. 1,500 gold in his inventory, very close to getting himself a Poison Shiv as well, allowing him to sustain with his auto attacks, as well as apply mortal wounds to Apfel, which cuts down the healing he can receive in team fights. Very important that Apfel isn't being healed as much as possible as far as Fnatic are concerned. We do see that Palmatoro is actually going to go towards what seems to be an Ivuhava's second item, whereas I'm the Doom's looking for that Broken Myth.
Yeah, I think the Broken Myth is going to be more important for Skye. I mean, she is not currently in a lot of risk anyway. You know, Baron is really going to be the main focus of the Idris, and Palmatoro is just going to hit whoever is in a good position to hit, so don't be in a good position to be hit. I think that, you know, going for the Broken Myth turns her into enough of a priority that it makes it really difficult deciding whether you go for the Baron or the Skye. You know,
this is such a good death from above. Wow, sorry, Net to Let just is completely washed there. Now he has his ultimate, and he wants to use it on Techno JJ as a priority, but maybe he needs it as well. Does have Life Spring, so could heal this all up. And Mouse once more going to go back. Mouse, I don't think, realize how much of a driving seat they are, despite the fact they got Baron. A lot of teams often assume, especially in Europe, that when you have Baron on your side, you're playing the late game. But, you know, we've seen from TSM time and time again, when they have Baron, they feel like they own the early game just through constant aggression with the jump jets. And I think Mouse perhaps playing this one a little bit too safely.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that this is really a window for Mouse. I think the later this game goes, the less odds they have. I think Idris and Scarf will be doing more than Baron and Skye in this particular instance, just because they're backed up by Grace, who gives them each an additional life sometimes. But, you know, I do like that they're pressuring the turret. I think that's the correct place to be applying pressure. So at least they're getting some work done here, even if they're not getting as much work done here as I might like.
Echo now completed for Net to Let. The Divine Interventions will be there. Techno JJ diving forward, looking for a kill onto Apfel. Here's the Dragon's Breath. Gauntlet going to catch up Apfel as well. He is going down. Very safe now. Oh, is he though? No, he is, and Chakram will find the kill. I was wondering if he was going to dodge it. It was just like, that cannot hit, but it did. Apfel just takes it to the face, and that is the kill. Going over to Fnatic. They have found a window with that Echo. They just felt so confident taking the team fights. Techno JJ knowing that he had the back taken care of. Adjustment now, perhaps a little bit too far forward. Face checking this bush is going to escape for now, it seems. Fnatic not going to dive too deep. Still respectful of I'm the Doom's damage. Are going to rotate though and try and steal away some jungle.
Yeah, that Echo was a massive power spike for the side of Fnatic. It gave them a different lease on life, and it actually enabled them to fight through a lot of what was being offered by I'm the Doom. One thing to note early on here with the decision between Eve and Broken Myth is energy and your ability to use it over the course of a fight. I'm the Doom Skye is a fantastic pick into Grace, but one thing you have to consider is that by Grace extending the fight so much, in the mid-game, Skye doesn't necessarily have the energy she needs to be as effective as she would like to be. You need to make sure that every time you're committing to a forward barrage, you're getting your money's worth. And in that fight, in that trade, I feel like Mouse had not fully set themselves up for what might be coming. They didn't really expect that the Echo was coming so soon, and they used a lot of forward barrage very liberally prior to the fight, trying to push. That did mean that there wasn't all the gas in the tank needed for Mouse to actually burn through the number of ultimates that was coming out from Net to Let.
We do have the Broken Myth now finished for I'm the Doom. Apfel though tanking up a turret shot puts a bit of pressure onto this Baron here. Has the gold to go purchase a Tornado Trigger if he wants. Oh, Netalet's melting! Netalet! Just about walks away, but perhaps we'll have to use one of those ultimates on himself. The Echo is available for him to channel if he wishes to. That Chakram did a lot of damage to Apfel. It's going to be Techno JJ diving forward. Founder comes out, but oh, a huge Gauntlet turns him up. Gets the 400 heal. Going on to Apfel here. Jumps away. Apfel almost loses his life to the Chakram, but it is doomed to find the kill. And he's walking away from Palmatora as well. Just about surviving. Dodges that Spitfire as well. The turret will be under siege by Fnatic. Mouse, though, with a single kill, able to clear the lane as well. Justman is safe. So is I'm the Doom. This turret going to be fine as well. They might even find a kill into Net here. Net goes down to the Arden. Palmatora looking for a return. He will get it. Can't quite take down the Scarf, but overall, you have to feel that is Mouse walking away with an advantage in that team fight.
Absolutely. I think had, the side of Fnatic been able to take down the turret, it would have been a very good trade for them. But as it was, not ideal. Tetno is going to struggle to do too much work onto the Baron by himself. The counterplay to Idris being good at sticking on Baron is for Baron to just turn around and deal a lot of damage to the Idris, which is what we were seeing there, and he's backed up by Justman too. So it's really hard to find the opening. He really needs his captain nearby. This all being said, I don't think Fnatic mind too much the series of events that happened. Yes, it was not ideal, but they didn't lose their turret. Nothing sticky objectively went down the way of Mouse, and they can just refuel and come back to the lane, which is key to note. Palmatora, he's got actually an infusion now, so he's going to be doing a lot more work in this next fight. Had he had one in the previous fight, certainly it would have been 2 kills, bare minimum, to Fnatic in the first exchange.
And the Broken Myth as well now on that Scarf can stack up the damage, whereas he didn't before. Apfel at 3 damage items, looking for his 4th. Death from Above going to split Fnatic, but no damage being dealt just yet. Here comes the Iron Cannon straight onto the turret, and that will be that first objective going down in favor of Fnatic. Gives them gives them a 2,000 gold lead here, although they are going to back away. That Tornado Trigger picked up. Justman popping his War Treads to escape the Goop Spitfire combination. 30 seconds left on the clock. You have to wonder if this gold miner will go down at all. Doesn't seem likely.
Very difficult for either of these teams to take it safely without being jumped on, so I doubt they're going to. I do think that the Kraken being on the map is something that just favors Fnatic, though. I think they threaten to kill it more quickly, and I think they threaten to interrupt an attempt on it a little bit more effectively as well. Big thing to note here, though, is that Mouse really do have a lot of room to work with on the map by taking the turret. I think that Fnatic are going to struggle for the next 2 minutes or so just to keep pace with the rotations coming out of Mouse.
There's a Tension Bow ready for Techno JJ to purchase up here. It's a pretty big power spike for the Idris as he completes his weapon power path. Palmatora not too close to the Eve of Harvest just yet, as he's purchased a couple of infusions for himself. Needs another, I believe, 1,300 gold. He'll be there. Still pretty hard for the Scarf to get. There's going to be turret progressed onto here as the Iron Cannon comes down just to clear the wave. Mouse still playing very respectfully as the Chakram damage, even if a Spitfire connects as well, it equals Apfel's death. The great thing about Scarf with Idris is that long range on the Spitfire. If a Spitfire connects onto Apfel, then Techno JJ essentially just deletes Apfel, and it's almost impossible to stop it happening. The Vanguard shield is your only move, but even through that, Idris can poke and stick to the Baron, which just is such an issue. So this is why Mouse are so respectful of laning against Fnatic, even though they might have the damage or the ability to take down Fnatic. They just realize that Apfel is actually super vulnerable to this composition.
Yeah, and he's not going for early defensive itemization like we've seen some of the Barons go for in North America when they get ahead early. He's gone very committed into the offensive path, only just now upgrading that armor to tier 2, which sort of exacerbates the issue that you were discussing previously, where he can get burst down very, very quickly by the Scarf. Techno JJ, I want to talk about him as well. I really think he needs to hit his next defensive item. for Fnatic to feel super comfortable. He's got to be the one creating space for Scarf, and right now, he's probably going to die too quickly against physical damage, which, of course, against the Baron is a humongous part of what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, as long as TechnoJJ is the one diving onto Apfel before Apfel lands the crit, then the huge shield you get with a Shroud Strap can negate that first auto attack, double auto attack. But you're right, he needs to get the armor, he needs to get that full metal jacket online so that he can do the work he needs to do and be that Baron deletion tool. It's another very tense game here, AJ. Neither of these teams really want to be the one to make the proactive move and perhaps make the mistake as well that goes along with it. This turret is actually going to go down, no? And I decide not to tank it up. Got vision of Justman moving in with the gauntlet ready to go as well and decided it wasn't worthwhile.
I feel like, even though the last fight we saw didn't go this way, that Fnatic has a slight edge. I think they've hit that point. But it's really going to be dependent on where the fights happen. And that's pretty hard to predict at this point because both teams are trying to be very efficient with their rotations and both farm the jungle and the lane, whilst also maintaining vision on Kraken. You know, there's so many things to consider. So it's going to be about who pulls the trigger first. I actually think that whoever acts first probably comes out behind in this situation. You really want to force your opponent to act somehow, because both teams have good disengage and re-engage potential.
Might say that if it's Fnatic diving onto the Baron, then it could be okay for them. It really just depends on how close TechnoJJ can get to Apfel. We do see a lot of damage being put out. Does force Fnatic back here. Fnatic can't really afford to tank up too much of this poke. Ooh, Gillette. Huge damage onto him. He's going to have to heal up. Fnatic's now split. TechnoJJ on the side here is going to have to look to escape. Apfel diving forward, isn't quite able to find it. Wall Tread's popped, here comes the Dragon's Breath. They're wanting to go in, but a fantastic gauntlet holds up Fnatic and stops them from aggressing as one. Is it enough is the question. Double death from above, but Apfel is still in trouble. TechnoJJ will find the kill. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but I'm the Doom has TechnoJJ in his sights. The heal, not enough from Net2Let to save him. Divine Invention will not come through, and now it is Net2Let looking to escape. I'm the Doom chasing with the Series Strike. Needs to land his forward barrage, cuts off the exit, and that's the ace mouse needed. The first decisive team fight goes their way, and a Kraken will be their reward.
I felt like Fnatic had the edge, but you don't have the edge in any fight that you face when you walk into death from above the way that they did. And also, they didn't really, you know, I think have the same cohesion they needed to in the fights. Palmator was like, I've committed to this Dragon's Breath, so we have committed to this fight, when in reality it needed to be, I've committed to this Dragon's Breath I shouldn't have, because now they've got a gauntlet available. My team doesn't have reflex blocks, we already used Crucible. It's time for me to leave. They forced the issue in that exchange they really should not have. As a result, Mouse gain a huge amount of tempo. They pick up the Kraken. This is devastating, honestly, for Fnatic. It's going to take a lot of work for them to build back from the deficit they put themselves at.
You know, I'll have to see if they decide to pull the gun immediately and try and take down this Baron, or they're going to allow a push. That first turret going to go down. Here's Net2Let looking for the flank. They are going in for this. He has that shield. Death from above catches him. Oh, the gauntlet as well. Divine Invention coming through. TechnoJJ trying to sustain through it, but Justman just holding them all at bay. First turret goes down, and Palmator is in trouble as I'm the Doom lays down the damage. Apfel is going to be in a 1v1 against this Idris, but TechnoJJ gets deleted. I'm the Doom handles Palmator, and Net2Let is wishing for intervention, but it will not come his way. The ace comes through for Mouse, and this is game. We're going to a third for this series.
Really strong turnaround by Mouse at the end there to pick up the win. I do think that Fnatic crumbled under the pressure of, you know, I mean, everyone's been through it, right? In the late game, just like, what do we do? How do we execute on our plan? They aggressed too heavily in the previous fight, and then they did so again in the final fight, where they actually tried to set something up rather than just using Scarf to kill Kraken very quickly and forcing the engage out of the side of Mousesports. We talked about it, Dalsy. He who acts first in this situation was going to be at the disadvantage because both teams had strong disengage that would enable them to then re-engage and actually have position in the fights. Moving into the next game, I want to see more discipline and patience from Fnatic.
Patience, we'll have to see if they have it. It is going to be game 3 on the way. As Mouse fight back, not wanting to drop this series. Let's go back to the desk to break down what happened.